Welcome to the Hastings Shadmehry Show.
I'm Andee Hastings.
And I'm Mallie Shadmehry.
Together, we own Hastings Shadmehry, an Atlanta-based law firm specializing in family law.
This is a space where we talk all things family law and all topics that touch the area of family law, from divorce to custody to self-growth, personal empowerment, and more. We bring you the truth, from our Wolf Pack to yours. Hello, and welcome to the Hastings Shadmehry Show. I'm Mallie Shadmehry.
I'm Andee Hastings.
And today, we're also joined by Lisa Malice. She's one of our senior attorneys here, senior associates at Hastings Shadmehry. And we're going to do something fun today. We're going to be interviewing Lisa, letting you get into her brain and let you get to know her. We want you guys to meet our Wolf Pack and know who we're working with here. So before we get to it, we're going to ask the standard question that we ask at the start of this podcast and catch up with you for a second. So here we go. Andee Hastings, are you a warrior or a diplomat today?
I'm feeling a little bit more like a diplomat today.
Okay.
So, we've had some really tough trial weeks back to back to back, and we've got some people who are really ready to bring their cases, their situations to conclusion, and I'm all in.
I love it. For me, I am a diplomat today as well. I also have come off of, some back-to-back hearings, lots of trial prep, kind of owning my mind, body, spirit. When we're in battle mode, we're in battle mode. So I was a warrior here for a while, and this week, diplomat. We are catching up. We are prioritizing some rest and some peace and some organization and getting back on track. And part of my trial girl warrior mentality I was having was because I got to join Miss Lisa Malice at trial yesterday. So let me ask you, Lisa, are you a warrior or a diplomat today?
I actually think I'm probably still a warrior today.
Okay. Why is that?
Well, yesterday I was in court, which I love. Warrior mode. That was a serious warrior case.
This woman in
court.
In court. She had her leopard blazer on, like a black cropped pant with these nice heels. She looked sharp, and she owned the courtroom. It was insane. Excellent performance in court. And here's my favorite part of Lisa in court yesterday, if this gives you any idea of the warrior that this lady is. I had to walk out with a witness for a moment. There was she pulled several witnesses to court, so prepared, but one of the witnesses wanted to talk to me. So I go out, step outside with her. And when I come back, I got that witness out the door. She was fine. And I come back in, and it's not pandemonium, but it is claws are out and let's go. What I see when I walk in is Lisa Malice turned around in her chair, having words with the guardian ad litem in the case, and they weren't just quiet words. This was a warrior. The face, and she's like, blah, blah, blah. And the judge is saying, all right. So, warrior is right. And she proved her point, and it was, we can't go into details on this one, but it is quite a magical thing to get to watch her in warrior mode.
Thank you. That you never know what you look like in court. You just are what you are.
So she told me this yesterday, so she's not just saying it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You never know.
Yeah.
Do I look like a fool, or do I know what I'm doing?
Yes. And then we got
red hair takes over, and I'm
girl. I'm surrounded by two redheads. Oh my God. Hey, I'm the smart one in the mix. I got two redheads on my side.
That's very smart.
And Lisa's also a dog mom. Tell us about your babies.
Oh, my babies. Okay. My four-legged babies first.
I go straight to the dogs.
I know. Okay.
I am the worst.
My babies.
She got real babies too.
Yes. I love all my babies. Okay, so I have four babies right now. Zoe, she's 17. She's a dachshund, so she's living her later years, and actually my mom's taken care of her a lot because she walks in circles and
sweet
doesn't
baby.
feed, but she's our baby girl, still living a good life, so she's with us. Xavier, crazy man, we adopted him years ago for my son. Of course, they wound up to be mine. He's good. Then I have got Ava, who was a foster fail. I went to pick her up with her.
Feel you.
I was a transporter through Georgia for a rescue out of New Jersey. And they called and said, can you go get this mom and pups? It was right before Thanksgiving, like 6 years ago. Can you go get this mom and her pups? They're going to kill it, put her down after. And I was like, but I'm a transporter. And they're like, yeah, you're also a DFACS attorney, so we don't care. You're not been approved to be a foster. So long story short, she came home. Her baby's found home, and she stayed with us. And then there's Raven.
Raven.
She's
Roddy.
my protection. So but she's the sweetest protection. And Raven is 4. So those are my babies.
I love it. So, as we said, you've got human babies too. And I'm going to pass the torch to Andee in a minute too. She's going to chime in with some questions. But what we really want you to tell us is about your journey and how you became a lawyer. And I think your children kind of coincide with that story.
Absolutely.
So tell us about Lisa as a mom and going into your career and how you got here.
Okay. Of course, I mean, my 3 boys. That's my life. I mean, say their name, Con, Zane, and Jad, but they're my life.
Hi, guys.
My babies, I can't believe it, 35, 27, and 23. But yes, I had Con when I was 24 or 23. I was a makeup artist for Chanel, we can say that.
Yes.
Makeup artist.
Lisa always says, hey, I'll do the makeup for the firm. Mally, I'll be the personal trainer. Like, we can have a whole system here. We'll have a dating matchmaker in the office. Makeup girl. That's crazy.
It was crazy. It was fun. But I decided I needed to, I always liked law, but I needed to support this baby. I was divorced with a baby, and he was 2 years old. So, long story short, I went back to school. I had to go back and finish my undergrad, so I had to start over with my undergrad, fresh start to get into law school. Went back. So by the time I started law school, I had married again and had Zane, my middle one. So I had a 7-year-old and a 10-month-old.
Oh my gosh.
When I started law school.
Wow.
And where'd you go to law school?
I went to John Marshall.
Okay.
I went to Kennesaw here and John Marshall.
Oh, I
So
went to
did it all
Kennesaw too.
local, yeah.
Oh, funny.
Local,
Okay.
local. And then, so I went to law school, and that was great. I wanted to be a prosecutor in Fulton County, crimes against women and children.
Redheads.
Loved
Redheads
I
unite.
wanted that so bad. I interned in Fulton County DA's office my last semester at school, call it quarter, well, there's semesters then, in law school. Got out, and they were like, go take the bar, come back, nice, love to have you. I got pregnant with my 3rd son, so I didn't think going downtown with 3 little boys would be the most. So I wound up working for a wonderful family law attorney up here, and that's how I fell into family law. And I worked for her for 3 years, and then went out on my own and was appointed. She was a SAG, which is a Special Assistant Attorney General. It's a big title, so they can pay little amount, is what I say. But it's good. They have SAGs that represent Department of Family and Children's Services, child support enforcement, waterways, everything. So the attorney that I worked for, that's what she did. And then when I went out on my own, I was actually appointed to represent DFACS. So that's what I've been doing for the last 17 years, practicing 24. 17 years I was representing DFACS. So I love it. And doing family law along the way, because they just kind of
Naturally
they
go
go
together.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So that's my life. But now back to my 3 boys. They're amazing. Raising them in Alpharetta was fun. They were all boy sports year round. I loved it. It was great times. Representing DFACS, representing children, and having kids. It all hit together. I was so fortunate for what I had and what I had been raised with and how my boys were being raised that I just wanted to get out there and fight for the kids. So
That was actually what I was about to just ask you is what kind of makes you get up in the morning and look forward to doing this job?
When I've pretty much, I retired from representing DFACS and come just to family law. Of course, then it was always, the kids. I like that. You go in the courtroom, not that you're, in a divorce, you're not on the wrong side and the right side, but when you're going in and you're, arguing for a child, you always on the right side. Nobody's going to get hurt on my watch. Was how it looks, and I love that. So that was how I got up. Now that I'm not doing that, obviously through family law, I still get to take care of children. I mean, custody cases, and then I have clients, as that you kind of.
Gotta
You
protect
but you
them.
take them and protect them, so I get
Yeah.
that protective mode.
Yeah.
So that's it, and
So, okay, so you used to represent DFACS, you're saying. So what does that mean to the layperson? Like, what were you actually doing?
Okay, so the Attorney General's office appoints attorneys in certain areas so that government entities are represented. So what it actually meant, and we're getting down, is when DFACS, Department of Family and Children Services, when they would take a child into custody, they had to be in court within 72 hours. I was the attorney that represented DFACS.
Okay.
I was the attorney
Like protecting the child.
protecting the child. If there were, we would, take children in, we'd have hearings nonstop.
Yeah.
I was in court like 3-4 days a week.
So I bet you saw some crazy, crazy situations. Can you give some examples of the kind of things you've dealt with? Like maybe some of your most serious traumatic cases you've witnessed, so people can understand what you've actually been handling all this time and what a warrior you actually really are. I don't think I'll tell you. I've had discussions with Lisa on some things. And these DFACS cases, being in juvenile court and now being in family law, there's a distinction Lisa's talking about, which is like family law is divorce, custody, modifications, contempts, and it is overlapping with juvenile cases, and our firm handles both. We're predominantly on the family law side, not so much juvenile court, but we do take some special cases. Right. When Queen Lisa says we need to, we're there. And
That's right.
So I don't have a ton of experience in juvenile court. And when I'd asked Lisa, tell me some examples of what you've seen, I was heartbroken. And I know enough to know this is real. And she's seen it with her eyes. So tell us some stories.
Well, fortunately, it isn't the everyday that I see these. Mostly it's parents that need to get it together, drug issues, mental health issues, and the state's supposed the job is to step in, take care of the baby so the parents can get together and give the parent, get themselves together, get them services. One does stick out in my mind. There's horror. I've heard things that I wish I could not hear. But the one that really sticks out in my mind is Jad, my youngest. He was maybe 4 or 5. And I was in court, and I hope I don't tear up on this one.
It's okay.
I had entered in, done this trial, you're all busy, you're doing it, and I had pictures, evidence I had put in, and it was a 4-year-old child in the morgue on a slab. I had to enter that into evidence because they also had additional children, but that was a sibling of this, so we were trying to keep this child in care at the very beginning. And after the hearing, of course, we kept the child. After the hearing, I'm putting my things away at my table, and as I'm putting the pictures away, I look at that, and that little boy is the same age as my son. So kind of lost it there, which was kind of funny because the deputies, who were so cool, and deputies are great, they always protect us. But I mean, they're like, "It's okay, Miss Malice, we won't let anyone know you have a heart." And I was like, "That's not."
Yes.
But it's luckily you don't see the children that often when you're representing them. It's when I would have to go to the office and see the children. The file is bad enough, but when you see the children. But that one, just noticing that little boy's life was over, and I had a child at home the same age.
So, okay. I have a question for you that I think this really pertains to the lawyers out here, and it's something we talk about a lot at this office, is you are having to be a warrior, a machine, like you just said, and go to these trials and hold it together and filter all these other people's emotions and your own emotions. How do you balance that with being a warrior in the courtroom and then being a human being on the side with actual emotions? Do you flip a switch? How do you do that?
That's a good question, because when my boys, who are still my life, but they have their own lives now, when I would get off work and get home, we had football, lacrosse, rugby, wrestling, dinner.
So you were just...
They kept me busy. And I will say, now that they're, in con, I have 2 lovely, beautiful, wonderful granddaughters. So Kai and Claire, I have to bring them up. Con and Alyssa's babies. And my babies. Once my kids were out on their own and, started having their own lives, that's when it started hitting me, honestly. I mean, when I got home, because I thought I would represent DFACS forever. And it just... it was hard to turn it off, because when you don't have your own life to go in, I mean, I'm good at turning it off, but it was like, I didn't realize there was like a blueness over me when I get home.
Oh my!
That I didn't realize where that was coming from until...
We've called it different things over the years, like...
I think it's compassion fatigue.
And that was when I was like, I don't want to do this. I'm going to work... I've always had my own business. I mean, I started my own, worked for Catherine, who I loved, and learned how to run a business or a law firm from in a small amount. And then was on my own, had my own practice for 20 years, had a partner for 7 or 8 years, was my best friend. It was great. And came out on my own, moved up here. And at that, I decided a couple of years ago, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to, I can't represent department anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to be on my own anymore. I don't want to run everything anymore. I want to, of course, probably 3 years ago, because that's when Kai was born, and I realized I really want to be a grandmother more than.
Yes.
So,
I love that.
and that's when I, started interviewing at firms. So I, not just because you guys are doing this podcast, I love it here. I really love it here. I mean, I was telling you yesterday, this is where my friends are. I mean, this is where my social life. So it's a great law firm, and I like the think tank. I mean, you've got some really smart attorneys here, and I've worked 24 years, but I don't know it all. And I still need to know things. So it's great to walk down the hall and ask you or Stephanie or, so that was, I don't know where I answered that question.
No, you did. And I was actually, I'm honored that we have you here. And I know Andee is too. And here's something that sticks out in my mind is I started practicing in 2015. And when I went to court one of my very first times in Forsyth County, I was very nervous. I would I would go for some easy basic type hearings or calendar calls. But I remember everything so vividly from those days because I was taking it all in like I was a baby fish learning to swim in a pool full of sharks, and I had to figure it out. And you were one of the sharks in the best way. So, because I remember seeing Lisa in the courtroom just like yesterday, and it's full circle. It's so special to me. She was just poised and powerful. And I don't remember, of course, you were there as for DFACS, so you were handling that. So probably someone was requesting some DFACS records or something, and it was in Judge Bagley's courtroom. And I just remember thinking, I wonder who that is. And my boss said, that's Lisa Malice. She represents DFACS. And I just thought you were the coolest thing. And then all these years later, when Lisa's name came in, under the pipeline for interviews, we were like, what? And
yes,
we were honored.
I was after I interviewed you guys. I'm like, they really are cool.
It's just been, you're just one of the key players here, and we just wanted the world to see that. And we're having to wrap up because Lisa's got to go talk to a sweet client. But I want to ask one more question. And that is, if you could give advice to anyone that's going through a divorce, from the client's perspective, what's one piece of advice that you would give someone that's going through the divorce litigation process? Any kind of advice.
Okay, you will get through it. This is probably the worst time of your life. I know this sounds really silly. Listen to your attorney. Because your emotions get involved. I've been divorced quite a few times myself. Your emotions get involved. So listen to your attorney and just realize you will get through this. It'll be okay. That's not the most legal term, but that's
trust Queen Lisa.
Have to.
Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us. Please follow and like the podcast. Share it with your friends. We're on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. I'm blanking, okay? And find us on our socials at Hastings Shadmehry on Instagram and Facebook. And we will see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
The Hastings Shadmehry Show is a production of Hastings Shadmehry Family Law and 1066 Productions. Produced by Ned Hastings and Kendall Walker and edited by Ned Hastings.